Seth, son Villano, truthless of Shinovar, wore white on the day he was to kill a king. Hey goons, that is the first sentence of The Way of Kings, the first book of the Stormlight Archives. Today I have a little bit of a different video in store from you, a little break from our usual zaniness. I really wanted to recommend this series to you, as it is my favorite epic fantasy series of all time, without a doubt. Especially you, Eve. I know you say you're not going to read it, but you will.
You will.
But yeah, I feel I should give you a warning before we continue. It is a very slippery slope. This is a gateway drug. The Stormlight Archives is a part of Brandon Sanderson's larger science fiction fantasy universe called the Cosmere. It is just one of the many series because after you finish this, it's, I need more. What do I read now? We have Mistborn Era 1. We have Mistborn Era 2. We have the Stormlight novellas, Dawn Shard and Edge Dancer. We have the secret projects like Tress in the Emerald Sea, The Sunlit Man, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. It just goes on and on. And honestly, it doesn't feel like there's enough. But that's good because he never stops writing. He actually just came out with another one this past month called The Isles of Emberdark. One of my favorites that is not the Stormlight Archives is actually a novella called Warbreaker. But that's besides the point. Yeah, it's a very slippery slope. But all right, now that is done, I kind of wanted to dive into why you should actually read it. The Stormlight Archives is an epic high fantasy set on the storm-battered world of Roshar. Basically, imagine if humans had to deal with a magically powered superstorm that came around the globe every 5 days in the same direction. And that's kind of the environment that the Stormlight Archives takes place in. It follows a very diverse cast of characters, with the main three being the soldier turned slave Kaladin, the warlord Dalinar, and the troubled scholar Shallan. These characters, they face many different threats, whether it be mystical forces, secret organizations, or primarily kind of their own struggles. And before continuing, I feel I should also say this. The Stormlight Archives is only halfway complete. We have books 1 through 5, with the 5th just coming out this past December. And the 6th is not scheduled to release until around 2031. But on the bright side, that gives you plenty of time to catch up on the rest of the Cosmere before it comes out. And each book is give or take 1,100 to 1,300 pages. Some are a little longer, some are a little shorter. But I don't think it's enough. All right, so that's kind of the general overview spiel, what the series is about, where it takes place. But that doesn't really answer my question that I posed at the beginning. Why should you read the Stormlight Archives? And I think it's all in the details. Right here, I have a map of Roshar. Roshar is not just like a backdrop to the story. It feels like a living, breathing entity. The aforementioned storms that come around, they start in the east, they always head to the west. And all of the nations and the people that are present here, and just the world itself, it feels so distinct from anything else I've ever read. It feels uniquely alien, and he makes it seem as though all of these nations are important in some way. Take this for example. If a storm is coming from east to west, which direction are you building the houses in? They're all facing west so that their windows aren't bashed in every time a storm comes through. The winds are so strong that it tears grass out of the ground. Well, if the grass senses any disturbance, it kind of retreats into the ground, and so on and so forth. All the animals have developed this kind of carapace in order to withstand the elements. And I think that it is those details of world building that kind of helped draw me into the book. But the magic and the characters are one of the reasons that I kind of stayed around. The magic on Roshar, it kind of takes the form of this thing called surge binding. There are 10 different surge bindings, and each magic user can access 2 of them. So you can imagine kind of the amount of variations and combinations that exist there. But as I said, ultimately, it was the characters. The characters. They're the ones that kept me reading. They're the ones that kept me coming back through all of these massive books. For a little more of a deep dive, they're all struggling in some way. And obviously, I don't want to spoil in what ways, but it all becomes very relevant to each of them individually. And I think that some of my favorite moments in the entire series were these characters having major moments of growth, and whether that be through redemption or acceptance, and how they persevered through their hard moments and how it impacted it. One thing is, the magic system, it kind of correlates to personal growth in a way. And so it makes all of the big magical moments feel earned, not just like they happen because they do. And I think that that is very important. Yeah, so that's kind of my answer for why you should read it. My spoiler-free answer. But if you're still not convinced, I do want to read my favorite section of the series to you. It takes place in book 4, Rhythm of War, and it's not even a combat scene. It's not like fighting, it's not any cool magic. It's just a conversation. And if you think that you have any chance of reading this series in the future, I think you should click off. Thank you for watching this video. Sub to Goon's House, like and subscribe. But if you're still not sold, just listen to this. Wit pointed with his spoon. I told you, this story has no meaning. You promised not to assign it one. As a matter of fact, Design said, you didn't give him a chance to promise. You simply kept talking. Wit glared at her. Blah, 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 she said, rocking her patterned head back and forth at each word. Your stories always have a point, Kaladin said. I'm an artist, Wit said. I should thank you not to demean me by insisting my art must be trying to accomplish something. In fact, you should enjoy art. You should simply admit that it exists, then move on. Anything else is patronizing. Kaladin folded his arms, then sat. Wit playing games again. Couldn't he ever be clearer? Couldn't he ever say what he meant? Any meaning, Wit said softly, is for you to assign, Kaladin. I merely tell the stories. Have you finished your stew? Kaladin realized he had. He'd eaten the entire bowl while listening. I can't keep this bubble up much longer, I'm afraid, Wit said. He'll notice if I do, and then he'll destroy me. I have violated our agreement, which exposes me to his direct attack. I'd rather not be killed, as I have 7 more people I wanted to insult today. Kaladin nodded, standing up again. He realized that somehow the story fired him up. He felt stronger. Less for the words, and more for how annoyed he'd grown at Wit. A little light, a little warmth, a little fire, and he felt ready to walk out into the winds again. Yet he knew the darkness would return. It always did. Can you tell me the real ending? Kaladin asked, his voice small. Before I go back out? Wit stood and stepped over, then put his hand on Kaladin's back and leaned in. That night, he said, the little dog snuggled into a warm bed beside the fire, hugged by the farmer's children, his belly full. And as he did, the dog thought to himself, I doubt any dragon has ever had it so good anyway. He smiled and met Kaladin's eyes. It won't be like that for me, Kaladin said. You told me it would get worse. It will, Wit said, but then it will get better. Then it will get worse again, then better. This is life, and I will not lie by saying every day will be sunshine. But there will be sunshine again, and that is a very different thing to say. That is the truth, I promise you. Kaladin, you will be warm again. Kaladin nodded in thanks, then turned to the hateful winds. He felt a push against his back as Wit sent him forward. Then the light vanished, along with all it contained. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you will give the Stormlight Archives a chance. I think the Way of Kings is such an excellent introduction to the cosmere, and just give it a chance. Thank you.